Welcome to Celebrity Storytime. I'm Miss Mary Ann. Today I am honored to introduce a very special guest, Sergeant Major Adam Smith, active member of the United States Marine Corps. We are going to do an interview asking a bunch of questions, probably more than we could handle right now for the video. But afterwards, we're going to do part two where Sergeant Major Adam Smith is going to do a special story time for us for Veterans Day, reading a book called Night Catch. We are excited that you could join us today. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. November 11th is Veterans Day, and what better way to celebrate Veterans Day to actually have our very own veteran here. Can you tell us a little bit about Veterans Day and what it is?
Yes, so Veterans Day started as Armistice Day at the end of World War I, and World War I was known to be the war that ended all wars. We know that that's not true today, but that was the idea at the time, and it was to pay homage to the veterans of World War I. As time went on and as the United States continued to fight in wars, the day was dedicated to all veterans that have served, past and present, in honor of the American people.
Wow, wow. So as a veteran, is a veteran anyone that could serve in the military?
A veteran is anybody that has served the United States military honorably. So it doesn't matter what your job was or where you served. It only matters that you chose to serve. You raised your right hand, you took the oath of enlistment or the oath of office, and you pledged to dedicate your life to this country for a period of time. And as long as you did that honorably, then you are a proud veteran, and you deserve the title and all the honor and respect that comes with it.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, even like if they had a desk job or whatnot throughout the military, right?
Every single service member is important to the overall mission. It does not matter what your job is. So yes.
That's interesting. Yes. So as an active, because you're an active duty Marine.
Yes.
What exactly do you do?
Well, it's changed over the last 20 years. I've worn a few different hats.
Okay.
I started as a Marine rifleman, an infantry Marine, and I spent the majority of my career in the infantry, serving in jobs from rifleman to infantry squad leader, infantry platoon sergeant, company gunnery sergeant, a number of different jobs, company first sergeant. And then as time goes on and you take on new roles, your job changes, and at present, my job is to be the Command Senior Enlisted Leader for the Inspector Instructor staff of 6th Communication Battalion here in Brooklyn, New York. So in Brooklyn, New York, we have a communications battalion that is made up primarily of Reserve Marines, and at that site, we have a staff of active duty Marines that train and prepare those Reserve Marines to go forward as our nation requires. So there will always be guys like me who go to work every day to train and prepare, and we help those Marines who still made the same commitment, just chose to do it in a different way by serving in the reserves.
Okay. I was just going to ask to clarify. So the reserves, they're like on call?
Absolutely. They are on call for our country. They're U.S. Marines. They go through all the same training, entry-level recruit training, job skills. They go through all the same thing an active duty Marine does. It's just once they're done with their training, they do it in a different way, and it's generally one weekend of every month they come and train, and then 2 weeks a year. But they, especially since September 11th, Reserve Marines have been called upon quite a bit to deploy overseas and defend our nation as the American people require.
Wow, I didn't know that. All right, thank you for the clarification. Now, I'm going to ask you, where are you served? Where are you stationed now?
Presently, I'm at 6th Communication Battalion in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, now, can you be called overseas for any reason? Like, say, if something happened and they needed, you to go overseas, you're still active to do that?
Well, yes, as an active duty Marine, if the nation requires, I'll go wherever, whenever they need me to go. In my current role, though, my job is to be more of an inspector and instructor.
Stateside?
Yes, to
Okay.
prepare Marines to go forward. So while at this very moment, it would not necessarily be my job to go forward, 98% of my career,
Yes.
that's been my job.
Yes, yes. All right, now what I'm going to do, Adam, is I'm going to ask you maybe a little bit more personal questions. I think that our patrons at home would like to know about. I mean, that more of a question that, like, somebody, as a civilian, that I would like to know about somebody that's active in the military itself. Now, when you joined the Marine Corps, how long have you been in? I think Holly had mentioned, your wife had mentioned, about 20 years you're in?
Just over 20 years. Yeah.
Okay, all right, and that's all active duty, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, how old were you when you joined?
I was 19 years old.
19. That's young. That's young. So, like, what made you decide to go that career route instead of something else?
That's a great question, and a question I don't know that I could fully answer.
Okay, all right.
The only thing I can tell you is that for as long as I can remember, this is all I ever wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
As a young kid, I put on my dad's combat boots. He was a Vietnam veteran.
Oh, okay.
And I put on his uniform, and the life of service to to country and corps was a calling for me. It's never been a job. It's just always been about serving my country to the best that I can, and wearing the uniform of a U.S. Marine to the best that I can.
Wow, that's great. That's really fantastic. Now, the first time, how did you feel the first time that you actually were deployed overseas? And how old were you, too?
I was 20 the first time I went overseas. My first deployment was shortly after September 11th, actually.
Oh, wow.
And we thought we were going to go, fight in Afghanistan or somewhere else, but we actually didn't. That deployment, I was with 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, stationed in 29 Palms, California, and we were deployed to the Far East, and we spent time in Japan and Thailand and the Philippines and places like that, training, working with other nations, infantry, soldiers or Marines, training them, our allied nations. So it wasn't exactly the deployment I think we all thought it was going to be, but it was a great experience, because it was the first time that I'd ever gotten a chance to really leave the country and see other parts of the world, and experience different cultures and things like that. So my first deployment was an incredible experience, and I think the best part about it was I was with my very best friends, and so we got to go experience quite a bit together, so that it was a great time.
Now, are these friends that you grew up with at home, or that you met when you went to, when you actually joined the Marines?
They were they were Marines from all over the country, guys that I met once I got to my first unit out in California, and guys from New York and New Jersey and California and Florida, Idaho. I mean,
wow,
they're from all walks of life, and that was one of the most incredible things about it. Is it didn't matter where you came from or who your parents were. The only thing that mattered was were you willing to serve next to the guys that were in that unit. Oh,
you give me goosebumps just talking about that.
It's a pretty incredible experience.
Yeah, and I guarantee, I bet you're still friends with all of them.
Absolutely.
Just about.
And I'll tell you, the invention of social media and Facebook has made it a lot easier to stay in touch, but we certainly do.
It's like one big family, right?
That's right.
Talking about the deployments, I know you spoke a little bit about Afghanistan, and then also when your first one, you went on to Japan and Thailand and that. What other deployments have you been on, and how did they how were they different from each other?
I've been on quite a few deployments. Generally in the Marine Corps, our deployments for infantry units lasted 6 months. Some lasted longer. As I spoke about my first deployment, my second deployment was very different. Shortly after returning home from my first deployment was the start of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Ooh.
So my unit deployed to Kuwait in February of 2003, and then in March we were part of the invasion that went to Baghdad, and so that deployment was a little bit longer. I think I spent about 9 months there in 2003 for OIF-1.
Wow.
But I've had deployments ranging from Marine Expeditionary Units, where we board naval vessels and we spend about 6 months at sea, and we're really a force in readiness. We're a deterrence to so if things heat up in a certain region in the world, the president can direct that Marine Expeditionary Unit to that region, and know that we have combat power off the coast, so that and really the idea is to deter anyone from doing anything. So I've done that. I deployed to Afghanistan, Helmand Province in 2010. I was there for 7 months with 3rd Battalion 1st Marines as an infantry platoon sergeant. I deployed to Italy as part of a special purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force, where our responsibility was to respond to threats to American embassies across the African continent, among other deployments. So those are the operational deployments that I've been on, 6 in total, all 6 ranging from 6 to 9 months, and then I've been on roughly 18 deployments that were anywhere from 1 to 2 months, and those were training deployments where we would go to the mountains and train in mountain warfare, or cold weather, jungle warfare training, things like that. So been on quite a few deployments, spanning different amounts of time, and and doing lots of different things.
All right. Do you have one, like, out of all the deployments that you were on, do you have one that is more memorable than any other one?
I don't know that any deployment is more memorable than another, because I think they were all very different. But really what makes the deployment special or unique,
that's even a better word, more unique,
is, I suppose, what we're actually doing there, and the guys that I was there with. Because you become so close, and the friendships are lifelong, and you're willing to do anything for each other. One incredible experience that I had was in Afghanistan in 2010. I was in a place called Garmsir in Helmand Province, and there was a small little place that probably nobody in America's ever heard of, called Amir Agha. And in that area, there was a school that U.S. Marines had been trying to get going for quite a while. And every time that we got close, the Taliban would come and they would burn it to the ground, or they would, they would do different things, because they didn't want the youth to be educated. And they certainly didn't want girls to be educated.
Oh, that's a yes.
And so it was very important to us to get the school going for boys and girls. And at the end of that 7-month deployment, in fact, one of the very last things that we did was we were able to stop the Taliban from interfering, and we were able to open the school for little boys and little girls and there hadn't been a school in that area in over 30 years.
Wow,
so that is and it was an incredible moment for all the guys that I was there with at that time, to be able to see that happen, and know that that we had a big part of that.
Oh, I almost have tears in my eyes. What accomplishment, my gosh.
It was
People,
really-
yeah, because when you have somebody talk about something like that, especially when you're grown up in the United States of America, we don't go through that. We don't see that. So to hear it firsthand from somebody that experienced it, wow, that's just great. That is incredible. That's incredible. As for the military, what would you say are some of the advantages and opportunities of joining the military as a whole? Not just the Marines,
Sure.
but all the different divisions.
You know, the military is a great opportunity, and a lot of people think that, you know, I couldn't, there's things that I couldn't do, and maybe not couldn't do, but just wouldn't want to do. Because you know, people are afraid of recruit training or boot camp.
Yes.
But once you get through, and if you serve honorably, the opportunities are really endless. And, you know, you can, the post 9/11 GI Bill, which is you know, it's a program in place through Veterans Affairs that allows, you know, folks once they finish their time in service, or while they're currently serving, to go to college full time. And they go to a state school, their tuition is paid for, they receive money for, you know, they receive money for room and board and things like that. So someone who may not necessarily have had the opportunity to go to college does a few years on active duty in the military, and then you know, they have the opportunity to go to school and really graduate without any student loans, which is pretty remarkable.
Yes,
these days.
these days and time, yes.
You know, there's lots of other opportunities. Like, for instance, I'm at a communications battalion right now, and we have cyber defense Marines, and they go through an incredibly difficult training program to learn how to work inside, you know, networks and defend networks from state and non-state actors that would like to, you know, to infiltrate and do harm to all of our systems. And so that is a highly marketable skill that when you transition away from the Marine Corps, you have security clearances and skill and training that people want. And so when it comes to, you know, to jobs after, there really are a lot of great opportunities, and if people knew more about those opportunities, they might see the military service a little bit differently.
Yes, I agree too. And that's one of the reasons too why, you know, doing this video, you know, especially for Veterans Day, to honor veterans, but also to let our patrons know exactly what really goes on behind the scenes. And that, like, say for instance, like what, you know, say if, you know, a 17, 18-year-old came up to me, they just graduated high school, and they wanted to join a branch of, you know, of the military. Like, where would they go? Like, what would I tell them?
Sure. You would want to refer them to the local recruiters.
The local recruiters.
Generally,
okay.
there is an office that probably houses most of the branches, and they're in your local community, and you just have to reach out to them. They've probably already tried to reach out to you, and for whatever reason, maybe mom got in the way or whatever.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, sometimes, yes.
They weren't able to contact you, but it's at least worth listening to what they have to say, because the opportunities are there to do a lot of you know, a lot of things to help your family, to you know, to prepare yourself for life after service, at least service in the military, whenever that is, whether it's 4 years or 30 years.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. When, say, you know, a young a boy or girl, you know, 18 years old goes, and you have to be 18 or older, correct?
Roughly, yes. 17 with parental consent.
Oh, okay.
So you
All
can
right.
go younger with parental consent.
Okay, and say that they actually do join. It has to be for 4 years?
Well, different branches have different time and service requirements. I think 4 years is probably the standard enlistment
Okay,
contract.
all right.
But I am aware of, 3-year contracts. And I think at one point, there was even a 2-year contract. There was a national call to service program. I don't know if that still exists. I'm not in recruiting.
Yeah.
But as far as, those types of opportunities, the best way to learn and to figure all that out is to just sit down with your recruiter from any branch. And each branch is going to offer different things. So it is in a person's best interest to, talk to all branches of service.
Oh, perfect. Okay, Adam, it was wonderful talking with you today, and I would love to ask a gazillion more questions, but we're running out of a little time, and I know we have you for our celebrity story time. You're going to be reading a special book today, which is called Nightcatch. Is there a reason why you chose that book, Nightcatch?
Yeah, that book has special meaning to my family. Before my deployment to Afghanistan in 2010, my wife bought that book for my sons. My daughter wasn't born yet. I had 2 young sons. And we spent a lot of time. My oldest was 5 or 6 at the time. And
I got goosebumps.
My son had just started playing t-ball, so we spent a lot of time playing catch and throwing the baseball around. And this book, that's how the book starts off. So when I was asked to do this and to read, I thought that would be a great book to share.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for the interview. It was very nice. Again, I wish I could ask a lot more questions, but we have to do our story time. So patrons at home, our interview is over for now, but stay tuned for part 2 with Sergeant Major Adam Smith reading Nightcatch. Thank you so much.